Today, we're diving into something truly revolutionary in the fight against cancer. We're going to explore how scientists are basically treating our DNA like a crime scene. They're using massive amounts of biological data combined with artificial intelligence, turning AI into the master detective that can finally crack the case.
All right, so let's set the stage here because the stakes are incredibly high. Colorectal cancers is a really common and, honestly, a very cunning enemy. And the key to beating it is all about timing. When you look at the numbers, you'll see exactly why we so desperately need a better way to find it.
And this number, this is the one that gives us so much hope. A 90% 5-year survival rate. I mean, that's fantastic. It proves that when we catch this disease early, it is absolutely a winnable battle. But then, you see this. If a patient is diagnosed later, say at stage 3, that survival rate just plummets all the way down to 10%. The difference between those two numbers is just staggering, and it really shows you the tragic cost of catching it too late. So what's the real story behind that huge gap between 90% and 10%? It's not a different disease, it's just a different timeline. It makes it crystal clear, early diagnosis isn't just a nice thing to have. It is, quite literally, everything. So that begs the question, right? Why are we missing so many of these early cases? Well, our current tools have this really tough trade-off. On one hand, you have the colonoscopy. It works well, but it's invasive, and let's be honest, a lot of people just don't want to do it. Then, on the other hand, you have less invasive options like the fecal occult blood test, or FOBT, but the problem is it's often not sensitive enough. It can miss the cancer. And that creates this dangerous blind spot where the disease can just keep growing, totally undetected. Okay, so this is where our story gets really interesting. To close that gap, we need a whole new playbook. We have to be able to see the entire picture of what the cancer is up to inside the body. And this brings us to the power of something called multi-omics. So what in the world is multi-omics? Well, let's go back to our detective analogy. Instead of a detective looking for just one single clue, like a fingerprint, imagine they're gathering every single piece of evidence from the entire crime scene. They're looking at the genes, the proteins, the metabolites, literally everything to build a complete, detailed profile of the culprit. And this image here shows you exactly how that works. You see on the left, it all starts with simple biological samples from patients. Then, in the middle, those samples get analyzed from every possible angle. Genomics for the DNA, proteomics for the proteins, and on and on. The idea is to pull all of that information together into one super comprehensive profile of the disease. And this phrase just nails it. You can't solve a complex crime with a single clue. Cancer is way too complicated for that. If you only look at one thing, one omics analysis, you're only getting a tiny fraction of the story. You have to investigate the whole landscape to really understand what's going on. So now we've gathered this absolutely unprecedented amount of evidence, but that creates a new massive problem. We're talking about a literal tsunami of data. How in the world do we make sense of it all? And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, think about it. The sheer volume of data you get from a multi-omics analysis is just, it's beyond what any single person or even a whole team of doctors could ever hope to sort through for just one patient. It's just not humanly possible. The answer, as you might have guessed, is artificial intelligence. This is where our AI detective really shines. You can see here how it acts as this central engine, this brilliant mind that can take in all these different pieces of the puzzle, the imaging scans, the genetic data, the biopsy results, and it connects all the dots in a way that we just can't. You see, the real magic of AI is that it can see the invisible. It can sift through billions of data points and spot these incredibly subtle patterns. These hidden connections between, say, a certain protein and a genetic marker that would be completely invisible to us. But to the AI, it's a dead giveaway. It's the smoking gun that points right to the cancer. Okay, so let's bring this all together. We used multi-omics to gather all the clues, and we used AI to analyze them. But what does that actually mean for you or me sitting in a doctor's office? Well, it means we can finally start talking about truly personalized medicine. This changes the entire game. The whole patient journey gets rewritten. Instead of just waiting for symptoms to show up, we can actually predict someone's individual risk. We can detect the cancer at the molecular level, way before you'd ever feel anything. And this is the big one. We can design a treatment that is tailored not just for the disease in general, but for the unique biological signature of that person's specific tumor. There's a quote from the research that I think just captures the whole idea perfectly. It's no longer about finding a drug that works for colorectal cancer. It's about finding the right drug for the cancer that's growing in a specific person, all based on its unique genetic code. It just makes so much sense. So what this is really all about is a massive shift away from that old one-size-fits-all approach. The future of medicine isn't about treating colorectal cancer, it's about treating your colorectal cancer with a plan that is built from the ground up just for you. Now, this vision of the future is incredibly exciting, and it absolutely should be. But we also have to be realistic. While we know where we're headed, there are definitely some big challenges still on the road ahead. And these are not small hurdles either. We're talking about data that is mind-bogglingly complex. It's full of noise, just junk data that the AI has to learn to ignore. Plus, every single patient is biologically different. And believe it or not, just getting the data from different lab machines to talk to each other is a huge technical challenge that researchers are working on right now. But here's the thing. Even with all those challenges, it is impossible to overstate how important this is. This integrated approach combining multi-omics and AI, this isn't just a small step forward. This is a seismic shift. It's a potential revolution in how we understand, find, and ultimately defeat cancer. And that kind of leaves us with this one last pretty cool thought to chew on. It might not happen tomorrow or even next year, but all this research is pointing to a future where your annual cancer screening isn't some big invasive procedure. What if it was just a simple blood test? A test that an AI analyzes for thousands of different clues, telling you not just if you have cancer, but what your personal risk is, long before it's even a threat. Now that is a future worth fighting for.